Hi everyone, Refrench Your Brain marathon for the 21st of March. How are you feeling, everyone? I am just checking right now if I am live and audible in LinkedIn and in YouTube. So bear with me, I'm going to just check in YouTube if I am live and audible. And then in LinkedIn, if I am live and audible. How are you feeling, my friends? And thank you so much also for the replay team for watching. Today, this is the World International Day of Poetry and of the Forest. And so, how are you feeling, my friends? There are also a lot of international days, but the main ones are poetry and the forest. And yesterday it was about the French language. So, bonjour, bienvenue, ravi de vous revoir. Happy to see you again. And so I am going to talk about verses and also arbre. So, dun, 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 dun. And voila. And so I am going first to share my screen about the poetry because it's really incredible. There are many vocabulary about the poetry, by the way. So I am sharing my screen and let me know in the comments how are you feeling today. We are on Friday. And so I love so much poetry. And at the end, I'm going to recite you to express a poem. So right now I'm going to zoom. And there are some words that I don't know or that I don't use so much. But it's really great because I am also learning. It's not because I speak French natively that I know all the words of all the dictionary and all the poetry. So with that, I am going right now to express these words about poetry in French, and I'm not going to express them in English and in Italian, sorry, because if you are speaking English or native Italian, you might already understand these words. So, strophe, rime, mètre, rythme, allitération, assonance, consonance, antithèse, métaphore, simile. So it's some word I don't know very, so I'm going also to learn about the definition, by the way. So the first 12, I would say poème, there is the accent grave, M, poème. And it's because else, without the accent, it will be poème. So here the accent is because poème. Then vers, and of course it's really interesting because I was thinking that vers one is ver. So I was probably confusing with the worm, which is ver. Or but there also on the same pronunciation there is vert, which is glass, vert, which is green, vert, which is the direction. So it's really, and then the vert, the slippers, les pantoufles de verre, but that's another story. So but vert, verse, strophe, which is stanza. I was not knowing this English word, and strophe I will dive in more. I will probably choose 4 to 6 words and give you the definition. Rime, in fact, I'm a bit surprised that it spells with an Y because I was always learning this word by R-I-M-E and not R-Y-M-E. Then there is maître, which is a bit tricky because I was thinking, roi, maître in poetry, what does it mean? Because for me, maître is meter, like a measurement, 100 centimeters, for instance. Then rythme, which is da, da da da, da da da, da da da. That's the rythme, the tempo. Then allitération and assonance and consonance. I will go also into these details about definition. Antithèse, I'm not sure because for me, antithèse is the opposite of a thesis. There is une thèse and an antithèse. Then metaphor, that's also something that you know, metaphor, about something that you can find transposition to express in the imagination. Then simile, which is similar, simile, similitude. And then 13 to 24. Personnification, hyperbole, ironie, symbolisme, imagerie, thème, mot, phrase, prose, narration, description, dialogue. And I will end by monologue, by the way, because when there is dialogue with two people, there is a monologue with one people. Mono, one, dia, deux. So, personification, that's the personification, personify. Hyperbole, I don't know what it means, by the way. I was knowing this word, but sometimes I don't have the definition. Then, irony. And I apologize for the sound if the sound was not 100% perfect. I'm going to be more with the mic right now. And then there is irony, which is irony, symbolism, imagery. In fact, normally it's R-I-E, not R-Y, imagery. Thème, mot, phrase, prose. So the difference between poetry and prose is because poetry is rhyming and prose it's a sentence without rhyming and probably also without any structure constants. Then narration, description, then dialogue, which is dialogue in French, and then monologue in English. Then the last ones are soliloque. I will also discover this word. Drame, comédie, tragédie, sarcasme. So that's very interesting. Now I'm going to select multiple words. I'm going first to go to strophe to be sure. What does mean strophe in French? And I'm going to share my screen because it's really for you to understand also, because maybe you know this word in English also, but what does it mean? So, un groupe cohérent de vers qui forment une section d'un poème, chanson ou autre forme de vers. So it's like normally 2 or 4 or 6 elements. strophe comes from the Greek a twist or turning about, reflecting the structural divisions within a poem or song. And that's also apostrophe, but that's another term, by the way. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Then I am going to get back to another word. I am really to see if there is a difference with poetry. So, mettre in French, a rhythmic structure of a verse or lines in verse, similar to the English term meter. It involves the arrangement of syllables in a line of poetry, often based on the number of syllables and their stress patterns. The French Alexandrine, which is Alexandra, a line of 12 syllables, was the dominant meter in French poetry and verse drama from the 17th till the 19th century. So now I know it's kind of a rhythmic that is quite famous. Alexandrin. So now I'm going to get to allitération, then assonance, consonance, because I'm going to explain what it is about. So allitération, repetition of the same letter or sound at the beginning or of two or more words in close or immediate succession. Recurrence of the same initial sound in the first accented syllables of words. Initial rhyme, as many men, many might. Many men, many might. So it's at the beginning. So it's a kind of a rhyme that is really at the beginning of the sentence. So aside that, I will let you explore. Then assonance in poetry refers to the repetition of similar vowel sounds within words that do not end with the same consonant, creating a musical effect in the verse. This literary device is used to add rhythm and enhance the mood of the poem, often making it more lyrical and memorable. The term assonance comes from the French word assonance, which itself originates from the Latin assonantem, meaning to resound. In French poetry, assonance is a technique that poets use to create internal rhyme and rhythmic patterns without relying solely on an rhyme. So it means that it's a different kind of rhyme. And then there is consonance. What is consonance? So here, consonance in poetry, the repetition of identical or similar consonant sound in neighboring words whose vowel sounds are different. So assonance is different vowels, no, different consonants and same vowels. Consonants, different vowels, same consonant. So that's really interesting. The term consonant comes from the French word via Latin consonantia, meaning sounding together. So what about the next one? We are still having 15 minutes, so I have plenty of time. Let me know in the comments how are you feeling and what are your thoughts, and glad also to receive any feedback from the replay team afterwards. Thank you so much for watching. It's about poetry. So assonance, consonance. Then antithèse. I'm very curious because normally I was using this word for mathematics about thesis and antithesis. So here, antithèse for the poetry, it's a literary device that juxtaposes opposing or contrasting ideas to create a noticeable effect. So highlight differences, emphasize contrast, or provoke thought and reflection in the reader. Very interesting. Like in Charles Baudelaire, The Flower of Evil, Les Fleurs du Mal, by the way, I think, the juxtaposition of beauty and decay reveals the dual nature of human experience and the interplay between life and death. So that's antithèse. That's creating opposite to create nuance and contrast. Very interesting about poetry. Then I'm going to quickly move forward and just to pinpoint few more because there is also the trees and the forest. I was merging poems and trees, poetries. Hyperbole, use of deliberate and obvious exaggeration for emphasis to create a humorous effect. So exaggeration to the extreme for more creativity and engaging. So in the Iliad, Homer uses hyperbole when he says the god Mars cried out as loudly as 9 or 10,000 men. In French poetry, hyperbole serves the same purpose, enhancing the imagery and emotional impact. Emotional impact of the verse. That's hyperbole. So, aside that, last but not least, I will check for the last one, which is soliloquy. So soliloquy, so soliloquy, a speech delivered by a character who is alone on stage, expressing their innermost thoughts and feelings without addressing other characters present in the scene. So it's a kind of a self-dialogue, but towards the public. So soliloquy from the Latin solo, soliloquy solo, yeah, and loquor, meaning I speak. And so in French, soliloque is monologue intérieur, or simply soliloque. So it's talking with ourselves, but in front of a stage, uh, on the stage. So it means that the public is receiving. So it's really interesting. I think it's a good idea. That was me soliloquing. But although I'm speaking alone right now, so I am all the time soliloquing unless I invite some guests on stage. So that's it. Aside that, I am going quickly to go to the trees. And so I was searching all the trees. All the trees. Okay, cool. I have many trees and we are still having 10 minutes and I'm going to Share my screen. Okay, this one. So bear with me and let me know in the comments how are you feeling and what are your thoughts. Thank you also for the replay team for being there. And bonjour, Margaret Ackroyd. Comment vas-tu? How are you doing? So for the first part, for the first 20 minutes, I was talking about the poetry with different terms that are used in poetry. The most famous are vers, phrase, prose, alexandrin, strophe, and I was learning few others like assonance, consonance, soliloque, antithèse, hyperbole, and there are probably others. And now I'm going to talk about the trees. And here are the list of the trees. First in English, then in French, and then in Italian. I'm not going to pronounce them in English because you know them and you know how to pronounce them. I'm going just to pronounce the trees in French and to just focus on few of these about the spelling, by the way. So few weeks ago, at the early stage of my marathon, I was already speaking about the trees. So, but it's good to have a review, a recapitulation, a wrap up. So I'm going to pronounce them 10 by 10 and then telling some specificities about few of them. Chêne, pin, érable, bouleau, saule, cèdre, cyprès, noyer, pommier, cerisier. So, first, very interesting that chêne, it's there is a circumflex accent, and probably that means that at some point there was S in the history of Old French. I think so. Another example is châtaigne because it's castagna, something like that. Another word that is interesting is érable because it's the E accent aigu. Without the E accent, you would have pronounced érable, but because it's érable, then you place the accent. Very interesting also that some words have their E in big caps without accent and others has. And so it's up to you, and I will understand to you if you are writing them without accent, even in small caps. But of course, it's better to use the accent. Then what to say more? Cèdre, it's accent grave. So, et, it's aigu. Et, it's grave. Cèdre. So, because of pronunciation, then you are cèdre, cèdre. Then you have the making the accent grave, else it will be cèdre. Same with cyprès. Because without the accent, it will be cypre. And it's cyprès. So, and then also sometimes the Y is having a I sound. Cyprès. Noyer. And here you notice like the ER is A, by the way. And with the Y, sometimes it's a vocal and sometimes it acts as a consonant. Cyprès, that's a vocal. Noyer, that's the Y consonant. Then there is the 11 to the 20. Poirier, abricotier, prunier, pêcher, figuier, mûrier, citronnier, citronnier, that's the same by the way, oranger, and then bananier. So here I would say in English banana tree, because banana alone, it could be only the fruit. Same with orange, it's orange tree. Same with lemon, lemon tree. Same with fig, fig tree. Same with peach, peach tree. That's just a concern about the fact that normally, if I see peach, I think about pêche. I don't think about the tree, pêcher. So in English, I will add tree to be sure. So same with apricot or pear. But then what to say about that? Pêcher, same with the circumflex accent, probably, and here in Italian, pesco, because in Italian and in Latin, P-E-C-O, pesco. And in French, in the old French, I was probably P-E-S-C-H-E-R, I think. I'm not sure. But then this abundant and was transformed with the circumflex accent. That's very common for the words. Not all the words that contain circumflex accent are with etymology from S, but most of them. Then mûrier, that's very, very interesting, because normally it is the fruit is mûr, but because there might be a confusion with the wall, because MUR without the circumflex accent is wall. So here to make the distinction, we add a circumflex accent. Mûr, MU with circumflex accent RE, and MU also with circumflex accent R means something that is mature, ready to be picked, fresh, you know, like the banana is ready when it's yellow, not when it's green. So mûrier, it's to make the distinction with the circumflex accent. What to say more? No, it's all. Then the 21 to the 30. Palmier, eucalyptus, banyan, first time that I see that by the way, laurier, ou, tsuga, first time also that I noticed this one, épinette, same, sapin, séquoia, châtaignier, and then I will go further after that. So, but first I'm going to check in the comments how are you feeling and what are your thoughts. Let me know also what are your favorite fruits and favorite trees. So first part was about poetry, now it's about the tree. So Poe-Tree is like I was writing it not Poetry, but Poe dash Tree. Poetry. Yeah, that's me. Very puntastic, very punny. And so I am going now to dive into the specificities of some words. So, where am I? Okay, I'm here. So, was palmier, eucalyptus. So normally the words that are finishing by US, it's U, like obtus, pointu, that's the plural by the way. But here it's because it's Latin. as it's eucalyptus because it's from Latin. And so normally we are respecting the origin pronunciation. So then Bagnan, I was not knowing. Laurier, ou. We don't we don't pronounce the H. So in English, you would say holly, but in French, ou. So that's very tricky because without context, you don't know if it means or if it means where, because there is also the OU with the accent, and the H or UX. So, ou. Then épinette, accent aigu. And then sequoia, accent aigu also. And so also in French, in Italian, we pronounce all letters. So in Italian, you would have pronounced this one sequoia, I think. But here in French, the QU, it's Q, sequoia, a bit like a K, by the way. So QU, que, quoi, voilà, c'est sequoia. Sequoia. That's a very special. Then châtaignier also because you see castagno. So châtaignier, the circumflex accent was like, oh, there was an S etymologically far in the past. Then going quickly because we are running out of time from the 31st to 40 and we will be done. So être, être, that's a bit tricky because I was not knowing that was also the same. Frêne, orme, peuplier, châtaignier, that was the same. Tamarix, I never heard about this one, by the way. Bamboo, TK, I will say tech, TEK, but TK, first time that I see that. And then théier, or I will say tea tree, l'arbre à thé. Then être, as the H is not pronouncing, there are also the word ETRE with E circumflex accent, which means to be. Être. But être, you don't hear the H because we don't pronounce the H. But there is a H. It's a tree that is beginning by H. Être. So that's very tricky, I know. Frêne. And yeah, with the circumflex accent. And here, I don't know. It seems that it was not the S etymologically, but I might be wrong in Latin, by the way. Orme, peuplier, châtaignier, and then théier. And that's it for me. So with that, I am going to stop my share. And this was quickly the Refresh Your Brain for the 21st March, sorry, in homage of the poetry and of the trees. So that was me doing my marathon, my daily marathon. See you tomorrow for another day, another marathon. And just to let you know, feel free to support me and to buy me a coffee. Paye-moi un café. Achète-moi un café. That's for me a way to continue my work and to have the support from my community. And I will make some announcement during this weekend. Very great announcement. With that, I am sending you my good vibes and keep shining, everyone.